Always a joy and an honor to be here. It is such a discovery time for me. And one of the things I just noticed, because I say the same thing every time. So I'm getting, oh, this is like really true. There's nothing left for me to say.
Mm.
It's all been said this morning.
Mm.
So that out of the way, uh, I'm going to ask you to bounce around today. In several ways, John. And so what I'd like you to just kind of bring in for just a moment is that just for the next hour or 45 minutes or whatever we're doing here, just be willing to let go of control. Okay? Just allow yourself, your whatever parts of you that want to come in and out and move around as we go through some of this stuff, just allow them. Just allow them. It is so important. Okay. How many people in this room and on the call are embodied masters? Embodied masters? Yeah. Okay. Now, you don't know what that means. I have a sense of what that means, but that's all. And one of the things I did a while ago, I was sitting and in a morning meditation, and this this message came through. It said, like, what are you doing with all this? This isn't your first time around. Why is this a puzzle to you? And I went, oh yeah, this is not the first time I've done this. And then I thought, well, it is the first time I've done it like this. Okay. So I simply asked, I said, okay, let me have the wisdom. Let me connect with the wisdom of my other times, what I call mastering out. And this time it's mastering in, and that's the difference. But not information that's going to distract me from what I'm doing now. Because this time is very different. One of the things that I've noted in the past, most of the time when we reach an embodied master, we left. So, we may have hung around for a little bit, but then we left. So we don't know how to do embodying mastery and stay. Okay. And it's different. I noticed that like this morning, as I get ready to go, I go out and I start the car and let it warm up. And it does it pretty fast in this weather. I go out and it's 20 below, it takes a whole lot longer. It's more gradual because it has to move from one place into a whole nother place. And that's what we're doing. We're doing this gradually. And whatever it looks like for everybody is whatever it looks like for everybody. We all have our own pattern of doing this. Something to remember, though, that if we're looking for it to happen so that we know that we're an embodied master, forget it. You're wasting time. Okay, you're wasting experience. Okay, because if you're in a place of waiting for something to happen so that you know you are an embodied master, you don't believe you're an embodied master. Because if you believe you're an embodied master, there's nothing to know. Except, what does that look like? Wow, that's a whole different thing. Okay, that's something to play with and explore. So that's why I start with that. I am an embodied master. And it starts from there. And I am an embodied master experiencing being human. Because in the past, it's not literally true, but it's almost true. As I've had these experiences in the past, it's like, here it comes, here's this expansion, and then I'm there. But there's never really a lot of integration time. There's operating from mostly this embodied part and not so much, or the mastery part, not so much the embodied part. So this time we're doing it differently. one of the things I want to suggest to you is that you begin to really pay attention to all the things that you say that reflect that you don't believe you're an embodied master. Okay? And that's okay. There's a difference between knowing that I am and believing that I am. So we have to start with the knowing. Because when I operate from I am an embodied master, that's the filter through which everything else comes through. Okay. Now, how many of you know that there's going to be like this another big wave of pandemic? Nobody. How many of you know that the COVID vaccination has got some weird stuff behind it? Good. Because to the extent that you know, you are participating in creation. Okay. So if you know Trump is a liar, if you know Biden's got an agenda, if you know, you are participating in creation. Stop, please. Okay. Let them go through the creation part and deal with it. See, I'm selfish. I'm simple. I'm a very simple. My theme song is "Simple Man" by Leonard Skinner. And that's how I strive. I try to be simple. It doesn't mean there's no complexity or depth. Depth is the right word. But I want things to be simple. And one of the things I've noticed is that if I play a part in creation, I play a part in the consequences. I'm lazy. I don't want that. I want my life quiet and simple, you know? So I watch for those things. Every time I find myself saying this is something, or isn't that too bad, or what about this? You know, I don't talk about what goes on out there in the world, because it's not that it isn't there. It's simply that it doesn't affect me. Some of you may remember a whole bunch of years ago, Greg Braden wrote a book, and I can't remember the Still Point, I think. He was talking about Still Point. I don't know if that's the name of the book. And what he proposed in the book was that the planet would reach a point at which almost everybody on the planet would go to sleep for 3 days. And in those 3 days, the people who were awake would recreate the planet. Okay. Now, it looks a little different, and that's what I want us to be about, creating the planet, where we put our attention, where we put our focus, where we put our emotion, where we put our words. You know, I have this little thing I do when I find myself saying something that I recognize shouldn't be going, I go, not for distribution. You know, and it's saying to the universe, stop, no. You know, it's in this space. You know, it's my musing, but it's not meant to go out there for distribution and add to that energy. So it's a way that it's just a catching a correction. So I'm not putting myself down, making myself wrong, you know, anything like that. It's just, and bring it back, because then I'm practicing, you know, being what I want to be, conscious of that kind of stuff. And still then, see, I still responsible for, and I get the results of that creation because I got that awareness. That was the lesson. I said it, I heard it, I stopped it. That's the lesson. I still get it, cause and effect. Okay. I just got a warning. Don't say that. So I'm not going to. Okay. Now I'm going to get this wrong because I don't pay a lot of attention. Who's the prince? Is Prince William, Prince John, Prince somebody who like cut out of the fold? Prince Harry. He said recently some really profound things in an interview with somebody. And what he said was that he's no longer willing to perpetuate the family genetics or something. He used the word family, he used the word genetics, but I don't know that he said them that way. And basically what he was talking, and I don't listen to the news, I watch the streams, you know, so I just get the data. And what I saw was he was talking about not creating for his kids what he received from his parents. And he used the word pain. Not recreating pain he got from his parents for doing it differently. Besides putting that out there, which is quite great, not because of the royal family, but so that people who have voice, other people can hear it about that. So as I thinking about that a little bit, or sitting with it, because I don't think very well. I'm not a linear person. You know, I jump from here to there and all around, and I can sometimes find my path. So I have trouble thinking. I just sort of pay attention, see what shows up. One of the things I became aware of is how in our unconscious, so we have a conscious mind, just to give you a paradigm, have a conscious mind. We have a subconscious, which is right below, above, or around that. And then there's the unconscious, you know, and that's kind of the archetypal Jungian thing. And then there's the collective unconscious. Mm-hmm. So at least in our subconscious and in the unconscious too, we have these archetypes that we have bought into, and they're unconscious because they're archetypes. And some of them are grand archetypes like man, woman, young, not so young, healthy, unhealthy, truth, not truth. And some of them are closer in, like family, parent, child, those things that we got from our own experience. One of the interesting pieces in doing the energy work I do is that oftentimes there is what we call a transgenerational pattern. And it's not unusual to see somebody who is going through a certain kind of trauma, maybe relationship stuff, and maybe whatever. Cancer is, a disease is a good one. When I go in and check, in addition to their own experience of it, they are the next in line for a transgenerational pattern. And sometimes that is gender specific, and sometimes it's not. I once did some work with a woman who she was afraid her daughter was pregnant, and her daughter was 16. And I said, well, why are you here? She said, I got pregnant when I was 16 and had my daughter. And later on, I found out that my mother got pregnant at 16. And she said, I don't want to pass this on to my daughter. So we went in and we cleared the transgenerational pattern. But whether it had anything to do with her daughter in the future, doesn't mean her daughter would have gotten pregnant, but we have those patterns. And just the idea is that they're unconscious. So when we I will tell you that this is more family than my family. Okay. And so when we sort of identify, and it gets a little tricky because, mom was still mom, mother, biological, but was she mom? Was it family? No. Did I grow up in a family? Yes. Is that what it was? Yes. But at some point we have to cut the cord, make the distinction. That's a historical term that represents, and its family is what I call a gross symbol. Words are all symbols. A gross symbol is a short word or term that has volumes of meaning, like family. Family can mean who knows how many things. And it's amazing that we can communicate at all. Because if I say family to Sammy, Sammy has a picture of that It's probably got not much to do with my picture of it, except that we grew up in one, and maybe it looked a little bit like this, and yet we have this ability to communicate. We use the symbols that don't match, but sometimes they overlap enough that we get the message. So it's important to really be, Don Miguel Ruiz in the Four Agreements calls it being precise with your words. Taking the time to absolutely be precise. Is this exactly what I want to say? Is this what I'm trying to communicate? So that we're not invoking, what's the P word? It's not given to me. Connotation. It's not become the P. Geez, Carmen. So we're not invoking the connotations of the words that we're using. Rather, we're invoking the meaning that we're using. Okay, and it becomes. I heard this interesting concept, and I don't get it. It feels true. I have what I call a truth sense, and so if something feels true, I just go, okay, I don't understand it, and it feels true, so I'll accept it as true. And this fits in that category. The master, when the master creates, it's without agenda. I'm going, what about intention? I thought we were working with intention. I don't get, so I don't get, there's parts of this I don't get. Rather, is that the master sends out this creation energy and it creates. And then the master sits back and watches. Oh, what did I do today? It's like me picking up a box of crayons and a piece of paper and going, do something. What comes out is whatever comes out. So we need to let go of all of the old beliefs and all the old paradigms. We just don't know. So watching the words, operating from the place of I am an embodied master. And I went to a pretty hectic, tough day a few days ago. And at the end of the day, I was sitting and I was going, I wasn't very embodied master today. Stuck in all this stuff and hassle and and this voice come and say, well, that's an embodied master being human. Oh yeah. Oh, just because I'm an embodied master doesn't mean I don't have the days or the times like John was talking about. Okay. One of the things that happens as we feel into or sense from the embodied master perspective is that we get to extend that perception, that sensing into places we don't normally go consciously. I just got that word. We go and we are affected by it. We just don't know. Sometimes we don't know why we're having stuff go on. It's because it's not mine. It's what I call not mine. It's not there. So one of the things, as for a lot of folks, is as they move into this ascension place, into moving into embodied mastery and this sort of stuff, is they go through a real period of feeling betrayed and abandoned. Okay, betrayed and abandoned by God. Okay, like last time when I came in here, this is what I signed up for. And I came in here, and where are you? You're gone. Betrayal and abandon. And it's something that we need to resolve. And for some people, it shifts pretty easily. One of the things I've noticed is as I have been working for many years directly with spirit, that I know what spirit is. I know what creator is. And so I can see that two things are true. Here's creator and here's my experience. But it wasn't because creator was gone. Okay. So sometimes it just goes away, that line blurs, and we move through it. And for others, it's just going on. One of the things that this entails is what we are seeing out there in the world as people demand having their voice. Okay. And we have a lot of voices that haven't been allowed to have voice. Okay. And as they have voice about, it brings a lot of pain. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of history. There's a lot of angst. There's a lot of anger, betrayal. There's all kinds of stuff that's in there and is demanding for things to change. Okay. Now, I want to tell you a secret. We can't change it. So if you're thinking about how do we create change, forget it. Trying to create change is a third dimensional term. Okay. Three-dimensional is always about trying to bring opposites together. And it's like, taking them close together and finally they touch, but then go like this. And finally, so it's like a masculine and feminine. Now, do I have a male and female part? Yes. But it's only an illusion that they're separate. It's like I have a right and a left hand, and they're two things, and I do different things with them. And sometimes I do the same thing, and sometimes I interchange them. But is there like any battle going on? No. Sometimes my left hand will say, it'd be easy if you let me do that. And so, oh yeah, and I'll switch sometimes. But remember that so much of what we're dealing with and everything the world's dealing with is all about opposites. It's all about separation. It's all about this and that, or this or that, or this but that. Okay. And you can't create solution from the energy of the problem. So it is not possible to change it. And it certainly is not possible for us to change it. Now, is it possible to create new? Yes. But that's creating new. That's not change. There's a difference. When you create change, you're taking something and you're messing with it and going, how do we make this different? How do we do this? Well, the structure may not be able to do this. I'm not going there. So we need to allow them, the other side of the fence, so to speak, to play their game, to have their experience. Their experience is not better or worse than our experience. It's just theirs. Okay. And they're doing it the way they need to do it so that they get where we are and where we're going. One of the things I notice every once in a while, I get a piece of feedback that it astounds me, quite frankly, always surprises me. And then I go, oh yeah. So I get my hair cut last week, and the lady cuts my hair. She says, I'm always so grateful when you come and sit in my chair. Well, what the hell is that all about? Who am I that she should be grateful? Well, I'm a light being. And for that period of time, she gets to sit in my energy and my light and my love and my acceptance. And she gets to have an experience so that she has a reference point where to move. Okay. And in the 3D world, and you could think back on your life, because I know it's certainly true for mine. In fact, that was the model that I was given early on in my development. My mentor said, you will have an experience, and then you will get out of that experience back where you are, and that's to show you where you want to go, and now you have to walk there. Okay, now that's the old stuff, but that still is true. And so remember that as we are in the world, that's part of what we're doing. We are creating that experience for people. Whether it's conscious or not, then they have some, it may not be quite a reference point. It may just awake some dissatisfaction in their life. Yay, good, because if you're not satisfied with it, you're not going to change it. And the more dissatisfied you are, the more you're going to be likely to change it. So why would we want to take dissatisfaction away from everybody? Anybody. They will give up dissatisfaction when they're done accumulating it. Okay? In the addictions field, we have this concept called natural outcomes. And that's allowing individuals to have the outcomes that are natural to their behaviors, not withholding them because that keeps them from getting where they need to go. Okay. Not being who we are because that's us being, but us being because it's us being, not because we're trying to create something over there, not trying to fix, just being. Okay. So if we move beyond 3D duality and we move to embodiment, then things like masculine and feminine go away. Because if it's not about integrating masculine and feminine, if it's not about balancing masculine and feminine, what is it? I still have those, Well, John said it when he said we are always in the process of creating. Well, the difference is who is we? Okay? From an embodied master perspective, bigger context. I am a soul in form. Why? I am in form so that I can have experiences. What experiences? Carmen's experiences. Why? Well, there's two parts to that answer. One is so that when I upload, Creator can have another expanded sense of self, because now it has a sense of, here's another way that I am, kind of thing. The other is my own path, taking me wherever I'm going, and hopefully without too many detours due to I want. The more I can stay in alignment with where I want to go, really want to go, and walk that path. Not that we can ever get off the path, because it's just this little detours and we learn anyway. The more I can stay in alignment with that, the simpler the experiences and the growth. So if I am informed to have experience, who is in charge or who has the lesson plan? Creator don't care. Creator's got other things to do. Creator's creating. Creator's busy creating and taking in information and going, oh, wow, this is interesting. So how do I synthesize this and come to a new and so creators, other things to mess with, okay? Not the creator doesn't pay attention to Carmen. I'm not saying that. But creator isn't like taking the time to go, okay, Carmen, this is what you're going to do today. So if creator isn't doing that, who is? I, capital I am, not I am. Okay. Huge flaw in the English language. The English language did not have a pronoun small I. So every time we say I am, we're talking about the totality of who we are, like God, we God. So my soul is, for lack of a better term, my soul has the lesson plan. And my soul is in the classroom, my experience, with the lesson plan going, do this. Here's the environment. Here's the lesson for the day. You're through with that. Now let's move on to this. Okay, that makes sense to me. And I have to work with this logically because that's where it starts. If it makes sense logically and I take it as a truth, then I can learn to trust the truth. I have a new place to operate from and filter through. So if my soul is creating putting forth the lesson plan, this unfolding. How do I know what that is? Well, I'm here to have experience. So does it make sense that whatever shows up in my world today for me to experience is the lesson plan? Yeah, it does to me. Now, uh, sometimes I don't get the lesson. And why don't I get the lesson? I don't get the lesson because my brain wants to make sense of it. When your brain tries to make sense of it, you're lost because the brain can't make sense of it. Okay. The being maybe can make sense of it. The being can at least go, okay, I'll find out later. You know, I moved to the mountains like 26 years ago, and I moved to Vail, and it was very clear that that's where I was to be. There was no doubt about it. I was to be in Vail. I left Vail a year later going, I don't know why I was here. Okay, 26 years later, I don't know why I was there. Okay, was there purpose? I trust that there was purpose there. I just don't know what it is. It wouldn't benefit me to know. Okay, so we don't always get to know why. It's just sometimes amassing certain experiences. Sometimes we, in our humanness, we have good feelings and bad feelings, right? Well, they're really pleasant and unpleasant, preferred and not preferred. And the less preferred experiences increase our capacity to feel. When we go into a deeper experience like depression or sadness or anger or pain, we expand our ability to feel. And when we expand that ability to feel, we expand our ability to feel love and joy. Okay. If the field, if the box is only this big, that's as far as that's it. So every time we get to do the box, so sometimes we're just expanding boxes, or sometimes it's a breaking box apart, or who knows what all it is. So one of the pieces to begin to work with is, okay, so I'm in this world to have experiences. What experiences? Okay, soul, spirit, the I am that I am, however you want to conceive it, is manifesting or presenting, I like that better, these opportunities for me to experience. Okay, does that make sense for folks? Yeah, I think it does. It makes good sense. So, why do we walk around? Oh no, I'm not going there yet. Going back to when you were a kid, because I know you had this experience with a kid as a kid. Depending on where you grew up, recall the experience of, I grew up in the South, of it raining and the joy of being out in the rain and the feel of the rain and just being in it and everything, or the snow if you grew up, you know, in the colder climes. Just that joy of just being, feeling the snow, experiencing the snow, being in it and seeing what it does, you know. Oh, it's getting deep. Maybe I could build a snowman. Or in my case, we had when I was growing up in St. Petersburg, Florida, many of the streets were brick. And we had an alley behind our house that was brick. And there was this kind of like groove down the center. And one of the cool things about rainstorms was then we got this stream running down the middle of the alley. Great place to sail twigs and, you know, all that kind of stuff, you know, build dams and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, yeah, let's go play, you know, here's part of what happens. So at what point did we decide it's not good to go get wet? At what point did we decide we ought to have an umbrella or a hoodie to keep the snow off our head, you know, or. So one of the things I want to suggest to you is that you become willing to let go of the umbrella. The umbrella being that thing that I need to walk around in the world to prevent me from having certain experiences, or to minimize. You know, I don't want it to pour down on my side, but I don't mind it like blowing on rain. I'm blowing a little bit in the breeze, but I don't want to get my hair wet or wet or it's humorous when I think about how often I have tried to minimize experiences. Okay, now one of the things about one of the sort of pieces, I don't know what to call it, I have about growth is that nobody changes until the pain of being where you are is greater than the fear of where you're going. Okay. Now, that doesn't have to just be about fear and pain, but why would I want to minimize in any way my experience? If I like it, yay, fill me up. Like all the joy that's in the room today. It's like, yay, just sit and rejoice in it. If it's not unpleasant, let's get it over with. Let's bring it all in. Let's process it. Let's embody it and move on. Okay. Get rid of the umbrellas. That's the key for today, folks. Get rid of the umbrellas. Just be willing to just drop it, and if you're like me, you'll have to remind yourself a couple times of that. Okay, now, see, how do we connect these things? Okay, so what about those situations that are intolerable? Okay, somebody's just mean, or somebody's just nasty, or somebody is, or this situation is, or whatever. Okay. Now, why would I just want to, you mean just allow those experiences? What about protecting myself? What about taking care of myself? Well, here's the thing. Whatever it is out there that is bothering you, that is creating your pain, is yours. It's you. Okay? When you are done with a lesson, it goes away. Ram Dass, most of old enough to remember Ram Dass. Ram Dass used to have this saying about relationships. He used to say, you can't go until you can stay. And his point was that if you're having problems in a relationship and you leave, you'll just take your problems with you. If you stay and you do the work, he said, then intolerable behavior just becomes intolerable behavior. And you go. Okay. When you fully embody that energy of whatever it is as you, not their energy. I want to make that clear. It's not about taking somebody else's anger or somebody else's pain or somebody else's whatever and bringing it into you. No, it's going, oh, that's me. And let me fully breathe that in. Let me fully experience it. Let me integrate it into the truth and the totality of all that I am. Okay. It loses power. It loses power. And then those things will either naturally go away because everything is reciprocal. And people in situations that don't get what they need aren't going to go somewhere else. Or it's just be intolerable behavior. Bye. It's just turn and go. As I play around with this idea of embodiment, body mastery, and fifth dimension, and well, gee, what does that look like? And what happens to 3D, 5D, and wait a minute, I'm on the planet to be an embodied master. And is that just with my 5D friends? Or am I on this thing? And if it's this thing, how is it different? Because I don't want to play in that world. I don't want to like be in that world. I'm beginning to get a sense that we will become invisible. Okay. In the sense that whatever the person or situation is looking for ain't me. So they will see whatever they're looking for. Okay. So maybe, I don't know, just pieces that are, I know that they're pieces. Okay. The idea that I need to work with is simply breathing in. You know, when I breathe in like darkness, whatever I conceive that to be, there's a fear, still part of me, that goes, okay, if you breathe that in, you're going to breathe in too much, or it's going to unbalance, or you're going to, or you're going to, or you're going to. And what I try to remember when I have those kinds of thoughts, I'm forgetting that I'm light. Okay. You cannot integrate something or a piece into something else and make it go away. Okay. If my light dark glass is half full, and how much can I put in it? Half? Half what? I don't know. We'll see. Can I put more than that in it? No. Dark can never outbalance the light because that's our nature. Okay, that's our nature. It's also dark. We are, but there is no distinction. You know, so it's about simply breathing things in and going, yes, that's me. That level is me. And as I breathe it in, as I breathe it in, I become more, not less, because I'm breathing it in to something like blowing up a balloon. Okay. So I just keep becoming more. Well, you know what? The container that is I am is kind of big. Okay. I haven't found the edges yet. So there's lots of room in there. Okay. And the container is truth. It is, go ahead. I like that word. Give me another one. Nature. The container is my nature. My nature is that I'm spirit. Spirit is all things. Okay. In balance, in perfect balance. Operating from that place is only human that feels like it has limits and limitations and. So as I breathe in, every time I breathe in, then it's moving into this container that is more getting towards the edges of I am, experiencing all of I am. Never going to get there because those experiences out there will never fill the container. Okay. There's more experiences that we can't have in human form that are the container. And those are where we go with our embodied mastery. And we begin to have other kinds of experiences and fill that container. And it's probably some levels beyond that. We'll find out. I think that's all. So let go of the umbrella. Okay. Watch for words and actions that are contrary to I am an embodied master experiencing being human who's experiencing being an embodied master. And just bring them back or shift them or whatever. And just come back to that truth, knowing that we're on autopilot and we're breathing through those other filters, and we're experiencing through the other filters. And so we want to experience through, we want to choose the filters that we're experiencing until it gets to be a habit. Okay. And then just remember that whatever is out there, my reaction to it is me reacting.
Mhm.
And if I am totally in love with that element of me as part of something else, okay? It's not just those elements don't exist by themselves. Dark cannot exist without light. So it is the combination that I am, like two sides of a coin. If I am in love with that coin, then it's just intolerable behavior. And there isn't any huge emotional reaction to it. It's just no. Turn around, walk away, move it out of your life, do whatever. Okay.